Hello, everybody. It's Christy here at My Artful Adventures, and today is another episode of Tiny Tuesday. This week we've got a fun little mini album. This is a 6x6 album, and it is full of all kinds of little places that you can, make your own and decide how you want to decorate it, what you want to do with it inside. And it is a perfect project to get out something that you've been hoarding, some kind of pretty paper that you've had in your stash that you have just been saving for the right project, because this could be it. Now, the dimensions are in the description, all the cutting and the scoring information. So you don't have to write all that down as we go through this, and I hope you enjoy it. This just has a little elastic band is all I put on here. There's so many options how you can use a closure and different things that you might want to do, but that's just an easy way. So here we go. You can open this up. We've got a section here. This is another part of the cover. You can actually fold the two covers together like that, and it doesn't really matter. They can just open and close however you want them, and then more space. Lots of little places that you can decorate. If you wanted to make little photos in here and use it as a little photo album, there's plenty of space. So, like I said, all of the things are down in the description, all the information that you'll need for cut and scoring. Who's ready to get started on this week's Tiny Tuesday? Let's go. Remember, the dimensions for cutting and scoring are both down in the description, so you don't have to write those down as we go along. Those are right there, handy for you down there in the bottom. So what we're first going to start with, we're going to begin with the main foundation for our little album. So this first piece is 12 inches wide, 6 inches high, and then you're going to score it at 2 3/4, 3 inches, 9 inches, and 9 1/4. And before we go any farther, let me just say that if you don't have a scoring tool that is all 12 inches, or that will span the width of your project for that, go ahead and score it at the 2 3/4 and the 3 inches, and then take it and flip it around, and then score it again on the same 2 3/4 and 3 inches, because it's the same. You're going to have it both, on each side. So that's all that is about. Okay, and then you're going to want to have two 6x6 pieces. All right, and so let's go ahead and assemble those real quick. So after you get these scored, where your lines are indented, you fold that down. Okay. And it always seems a little bit counterintuitive, but what you have done is you have stretched those fibers, and so it should be a little bit easier to fold. Don't let watching me change your mind about that. Usually, the more narrow space you have when you're folding something like this, kind of the more difficult it is. Okay, so now here's our little thing. This is going to be the depth of our little mini album right here. So when you get those, then go ahead and open it back up, and then flip it this way. So again, here's your, this is going to be the outside of the book. And now then we're going to place these two covers on each one of the flap. So here's a 6x6, and we're going to place it right here on the flap. And I'm going to go ahead and put some glue down. I would really recommend, since you're making a little mini album, to use some kind of glue that you can really be sure is going to stay. And that's not always the case with glue stick or with double-sided tape. So liquid glue, a good brand of liquid glue, is always going to be your best friend for putting together something like this and making sure that it's going to last. And one night, whoops, oh my goodness. One of the nice things about when you've got these mats with a grid is you can line your project up like this. My glue is going to already be dry. That stuff stays wet long enough to work with it, but I tell you what, when you mess up and you lift it off, you've pulled some of that glue. So I'm going to do that. Okay, let's try again. So I'm going to try and lay this down here and kind of line it up along this line, and then I can put this along here. You want to be just on the outside of this score mark, okay? And then once you get that done, you can go ahead and fold it in and kind of double check and make sure it looks like it's straight along here. And looks good to me. And you guys, I probably put some lotion on, and now I've got little marks. I usually put some lotion on, and then I'll go ahead and use a some kind of a wet wipe thing and get it off of the, the palms, the insides of my hands. But I'm not going to worry too much about it, you guys, because we're going to do so much other stuff on here. We're going to add, more pretties, and it's not going to matter. Now, if I was going to have something and I'm not going to have anything that's going to be matted or anything like that, I would want to be really careful about, putting on any lotion or anything like that. Now, I might kind of pay attention to where my lines are cut as well. And another thing, we know that this is a nice straight line here, so I'm almost thinking if I get that lined up there, I don't really have to do much more. But I do want to make sure that it looks straight, which it does. All right. So that's the main portion of our little mini album or folio. Now we're going to take 3 sections and, oh, excuse me. Oh, no, let's do something else. Sorry. Let's backtrack a second. Let's cover these in here. These are 2 pieces that are 6 inches high and just 5 5/8 inches wide. And we're going to put those here. We're going to cover it right here. You're going to have a little bit of a gap right here, and that's okay. So since it's not going to cover that whole 6 by 6, let's go ahead and put the glue on this panel. So this will be, we've got 2 of these, one for the inside cover and one for the back. And it's really not a back, because they're going to flip over each other. So basically you kind of have a left front cover and a right front cover. So I'm just going to line these up, get them on here. And if you have any places that look like you have a little bit that needs trimmed off, you can always take care of that after you've got it assembled, and you can go back and look at anything that might need a little help. So again, this is 6 inches high and just 5 5/8 inches wide. Just enough to cover, we're going to cover up that seam that we, whoa! Okay. Just line this up here. When you're lining things up, it makes it super easy. You have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out where stuff goes. Okay, so now let's set that aside and let's do the next section of our foundation. So what I decided to do, here's the backs. This is just plain black on one side of this. But I decided so that I can have, as much space to decorate in any way I want to. And if I want to use more from this collection, I can. But I want to be careful what I choose to be the front and the back, right? Now, the center part, I'm going to make this to be the center part. And these pieces are, let's see, these 3 pieces are 11 3/4 inch wide. And they are 5 3/4 inches high. Okay. And then these are scored at 3 inches and 8 3/4. So all 3 of them are the same. 11 3/4 wide, 5 3/4 high, scored at 3 inches and 8 3/4. So this one I decided I want to just be plain in the middle. I don't want all of the rest of this showing. So we're going to do just like that. And I'm just going to go ahead and do these. Now these are going to show, I'm going to fold all of them. Well, that's kind of backwards from what I already told you, but sometimes you need to fold things, both ways. And these are going to have a lot of folding both directions. I actually could have scored them on the front and the back. Some papers are a lot more forgiving of folding back and forth than others. Sometimes you almost need to score both sides to avoid a lot of cracking. Okay, so this is how we're going to put these together. We're going to fold up these 2 sections like this and put them back to back on these 2 little bitty sections, okay? So I'm just going to get some glue on here and put these together. And we're going to do that. This is how we're going to connect both of the long sections. So just these little strips. You guys, this is just such an easy little mini album. I have made countless ones of these over the years. I just have so much fun doing them. You know, no matter what kind of papers you use, what kind of collection, they're just always fun, and they're fun to decorate, and they don't take so much time that, you know, they make a good gift. They just don't take you a lot of time to get, you know, to get them put together. And so, you know, sometimes I don't like spending a lot of time putting things together, especially now. This is, you're going to think this sounds awful, but you know what? Sometimes when you spend an awful lot of time creating something to give to someone, if they are not also a creator and maker, a lot of times they just don't really see the value in it. They don't know the time and energy and care and love that you put into it. And I just don't, you know, I don't like doing that. I mean, I don't need a lot of accolades if I give something to someone, but you know, it did take time. I put it together lovingly and carefully. And I don't want it to just be, you know, tossed. You know, I'm not going to say it's going to be forever. It's not going to be an heirloom they pass on, but yeah. Okay, so now then we've got that, and then these are all going to fold back and forth like this. So this can go here. This can go, I mean, you can fold it any way you want. But now this section with that middle, and you can see this is our green one. This one we're going to glue right in the center here. So we're going to go ahead and put our glue on the back section here. You just got to keep track of, you know, which section goes where. And it's not that hard. It is not that hard, friends. But, you know, this is, Tiny Tuesday is all about what kind of small scale things that, you know, that we can do. I was in an event today on Facebook and I made one of these. And it was a scrapbook day. Well, you know, today is Tiny Tuesday. And so I decided I would still make a small scale project. So this has about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So now once you lay that down and get it placed, now you can open it up and go ahead and get that pressed firmly down there. Get that adhered so it is right there we want it. Now, as you move forward with these, I mean, you can fold these different directions, and it probably is a lot easier when they're not all folded together. If they've got some different, you know, if they're folding some different ways, once you, like this one could go this direction. I mean, you can fold them any way you want. But when you kind of divvy them up a little bit more, it's a little bit easier to get your booklet closed, okay? Okay, so now to be able to decorate or do anything else that you want, you know, it's yours to take, you know, to take charge of. If you make sections that are 5 and, oops, I'm off my screen, 5.5 inches by 5.5 inch squares are perfect to mat all of these little sections. They'll work fine. They'll work in these places that were 6 inches, and they'll work in these places that were 5 3/4. You're just going to have a little bit less border. But by doing that, your cover is a little bit larger, and, you know, and it's going to kind of cover and protect the other little pages. But let's see. I've got some things here for my front covers and my back, and I kind of gave them some thought here. But whether I can remember, that might be another thing. That might be a whole nother ball game. I think I wanted this one for the front. And this is one of the reasons that I chose this black paper, was because I thought for this collection it would really set it off. And I do like that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll just go ahead and put this down here. So again, these pieces, these square pieces that we're using now to kind of decorate, or either decorate the fronts and the backs, or, you know, to use them as a matting option. These are 5.5 by 5.5. So I'm going to place that on here, get my little border as equal around as I can. Okay, and then let's do this one. Put this one over here. I love this paper. Isn't this gorgeous? And you guys, little projects like this are the perfect time for you to grab out some kind of paper that you have been hoarding and you didn't want to cut up. Because look, we really haven't cut that much of, you know, these papers up like this. Now, the long center folds, the panels that we've made the center with, that would have taken 1.5 sheets of the 12 by 12 paper. Okay, so I'll put this one on here. Okay, and I'm going to use this one for the back. But I don't even know how long I've had this paper. And I'm like, oh, this would be pretty. This would be so pretty. So for these covers, for the 2 front panels and then the one back, that's about 3/4 of a sheet of 12 by 12. The other things would be a sheet and a half for the center panels. So, I mean, that's not a lot. I'm sure a bunch of you have some kind of pretty paper that you're hoarding in your stash. Am I right? I bet I'm right. So look how pretty this is. Okay, so this still has this, this is just plain, and I'm just going to leave it like this. The other sections, because I'm not sure exactly, you know, what I want to decorate it with, and I'm not here to show you all how to decorate absolutely everything. My goal today for this video was to show you a fun little mini album that you can use, you know, in a lot of ways, and, you know, to help you figure out, you know, exactly how to use it. So all of these things you could mat these 5.5 by 5.5 inch squares. Use the pretty paper, use some plain. If you want to put photos in it, you might want some solid color papers, or, you know, I don't know what you want. I don't know what you have in your stash, and I don't know what you might want to use. And then the other part of this, oh, let's see, I thought I had another piece. Hang on just a second. So to mat these small little panels, these pieces are 2 3/4 inches wide by the same 5.5 inch high. And so I just have these white so that you could, so I could tell you, you know, what those were, so that you could, you know, realize what the dimensions are for those. So, you know, when you've got all kinds of pretty papers left, I mean, here was the other side of the green that I used in the center. This was, you know, and I just thought that the green and the black in here, since I really don't have a solid plan yet for what I want to do with this, that those would be great, because the green and the black would, you know, kind of offer a lot of options right in here. Here's this other pretty piece. You know, you can make pockets out of these. Maybe over here on one of these, we want to make a pocket. So, and you could do little side pockets. Oh my goodness, you guys, the options are just endless. And if any of you are familiar with the graphic 45 paper, you know that each collection comes with something pretty like this. And, you know, maybe you would take one of these. You can make other little flip outs. You could make pockets out of some of these. You don't need anything really super fancy for a closure. I have quite a few of these elastic bands that were really made to be gift ties, and they're handy. They're pretty sturdy, and they aren't so tight that for a lot of little albums like this, they come in really handy. You can take some ribbon or something, and you could even just glue the center of your long ribbon right here on the outer spine. You know, if you wanted to, as you were putting this together, you could put a little piece of ribbon right in through here before you sandwich these together. I just don't hardly ever do that. I usually just do something I can add at the very end. But I hope that you have enjoyed this today, and I hope you'll be back for another Tiny Tuesday. If you've liked this, please give it a like, and I hope you'll come back, subscribe, and I'd love to see you back here again. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for joining me for Tiny Tuesday.